Okay, let's talk about PowerPoint for a little bit. This certainly much of this is the same, right? So this is just kind of how it starts out. You've got a blank screen here, um, things that you can insert and do, right? So I can insert a title here, insert a subtitle if I wanted to. You'll notice that um, the font, the paragraph kind of settings, meaning, whether it's left justified, centered, whether you got bullets, right? All those kind of things just kind of are here, right? This is very similar to Word and Excel for that matter. The new thing that you've got here is just the opportunity to put in new slides, right? So if I wanted to add a new slide, right, you'll notice that I can use Control M to do that, but it's just going to give me a generic slide. If I want to specify the kind of new slide I want, right, then I could choose this one, right, where this one's the title. This is Excel class. Of course, we're doing a little bit of Word and PowerPoint as well. Right, this is BUAD 220. All right, I come over here to this next slide where we talked about Word a minute ago, right, and different stuff you can do in Word. Just as an example, if I wanted another new slide, right, I can just hit Control M and it'll bring that up. But if I want something different, right, I can come up here and change the layout. Maybe I want a double content kind of a thing going on here. We're going to ignore these design ideas for now. Right, so maybe this is, can't spell. Right, here's PowerPoint. Let's say, on this side, I can put in some words over here, and maybe over here I want to create a chart, right? A column or some kind of a chart, right? So we'll just go with this one for now, just to show you how that might work. And so it'll bring this in for me, right? So you notice it's given me these data up here. And I don't want all that. I don't need all that, right? So if I want to get rid of stuff, I can right click there and hit delete. Notice that I'm all the way out here on the 4. I'm not in these cells. We'll talk more about that when we get to Excel, right? But I can just delete these. I just want one category. I'm just going to keep this real simple. So I'm deleting these by being up here on the letters. All right, so I can do that. Maybe I didn't want to get rid of all those. I'll keep 2 of them. So maybe this is class, and this is study and assignments, right? Maybe the amount of time you're putting in on those. So maybe I spent 3 hours on study. Notice that changed. And I spent 5 hours working on assignments, right? So you notice all of this changes. You'll notice that the study and assignment, all of this adjusted itself, right? So that part is pretty cool. So if I can just get rid of that, and this is here. If I double click on these things, I can bring up some other options, right? On the primary, secondary axes, I can write in what I want. I can change colors, right? All of that, right? So those are options that are available to you once you get the chart made, right? So I'm just going to create another slide here. They call these, right, the whole thing here, some people at least call them a deck, right, meaning a deck of PowerPoint slides. And you'll notice that it created what it created here when I just said, hey, give me a new slide. It created the same kind of slide I had just made, right? So it's going to duplicate what I had. Right, so now if I want to insert different things in here, just for example, right, I can still insert a table. I can insert pictures, right? For example, let's say I could put a picture off of my computer. I can go grab online pictures, right? Depending on your speed, it may give you different. It may take longer to do some of these kind of things. Maybe I want different cars, and I want a car GIF, right? I call it a GIF. I know other people call them GIFs, right? But I can insert this into my deck, right? And so I've got this, and you're like, well, you said you wanted a GIF, right? Well, it's not going to do that until we're in presentation mode, right? So if I want to do that, right, I can come up here to slideshow, and I can start it from the beginning, or I can start it from the current slide, right, you'll notice that the shortcut for starting it from the beginning is F5 on the keyboard. Starting it from the current slide is Shift F, right? So I just clicked on that there, so you can see the whatever that is, Lamborghini doing donuts, right? Ooh, donuts. I'm just kidding. So, right, so those kind of things are possible, right? As far as inserting those kinds of things, I can insert other things. If I go back to that tab, right, there's things called Smart Art within this that I can show you, and we'll do some of this, right? So if I wanted to create, some kind of a list or a process, right? So we're moving from left to right through something, a cycle, a hierarchy where we're going to do like job descriptions, and so I need to put in, whose boss is whose and all those kind of things. And once I get these in here, right, you can see I can go in and type in this, right? So maybe we've got the president up here, and we've got a VP of some kind there, and down here we've got some kind of a manager, right? Whatever, right? And I can adjust all of these and move them around once I get them in there as well, right? So once I get out of that, that's over here on my other slide, right? So those kind of things are helpful, right? Just to be able to create different things. And of course, I can come in here and adjust colors and, right, all those kind of things, right? Whatever color that is, some kind of orange, I guess, right? Scroll down, I could do yellows or blues or greens or whatever it might be. Just by up here in the design part of this, I can go to the format and adjust other things, right? That we're not going to get into all of those, right? Because part of the joy of Word and Excel and PowerPoint is if you really want to get good at these things, you've got to go in and play with it for yourself and just mess around with something that doesn't matter a whole lot, right? Otherwise, right, we have other things we can work on that way, but we'll do some specific things in the class. One of the other things that's interesting in this is the ability to put in other text boxes, word art, some other things you can slide into here. Some of the word art stuff's pretty cool, right? It's just a different way of looking at things, right? I don't need a hard return there, and I can move this around, right? So it's not just plain text, but it's a little more artsy, right, if you will. I'm just going to hit delete on my keyboard and get rid of that. I can also change backgrounds, right? So I right click in there. I don't want it in that particular spot, right? So I can format the background, right? I can do just a solid fill, right? I can pick my color, maybe that's yellow, or I guess that's a yellow, right? I can do gradient fills where you notice that this is kind of whiter, lighter blue, at least around the edges, and darker in the middle. I can choose how those are set up, right? So I can make it darker or lighter in general. I can choose how the gradient works within this. I can even insert my own picture, right, into this if I wanted to, right? Sometimes pictures are hard though, right, because they have different colors, and if you've got fonts that happen to blend in with a certain color, then those are difficult. The other thing that's a challenge as you get in here with some of this, right, and I don't know how this is going to show up for sure within the YouTube video that I'll create out of this, but right, this yellow is pretty bright, and if I change the font color of how this is going to look, right, some of it's not going to look very good, or others of it's going to look like, man, that is, if I look at too many slides like that, that's going to burn my retinas, right, that kind of thing. So just being careful with backgrounds, right, it just, it's just, yeah, it's hard to strike that balance. You want something that looks good, and I'm just doing undo to get back to my original white background. But I can also insert designs, right? So I can create something that looks like this, right? There's all sorts of presets, other ones you can grab, right, that just look different, right? They're very basic, they're clean, they look nice, but stuff that, there's the warning on the red, I guess. Thanks, Microsoft, for showing that for us. But that red could be pretty bright, right? So some of the other ones are a little bit more muted, but you can choose your own things that way, right? You'll notice that it changed them all. And you can set it so that it's going to change one or all or multiple, right, in that. So So these are ideas, right, and what you can do that way. Um, I think that's about it for this for now. There are other. Oh no, sorry. One more thing. You can create transitions between slides, right? So if I'm going to the second slide and I want this one to, I want some of this to morph in, as they say, or push, right? I can have it slide between. So if I start this, right, you'll notice that it's going to change in a certain way, right? Others of these are just moving pretty easy, right? But that one's actually sliding, if you will, between the, well, slides, right? So you can set those up with this. You can set up animations for how the actual words in the slides come up. Now this can be overdone, right? And so it's like, oh man, that's just too much. Everything's coming in, flying from one direction or another, or bouncing in or whatever. So you can see all of these up here, right? So if I came in here and chose this, you notice that these things highlight up here, and so that's going to swivel in like that. You know, that's great for a few things to show a little bit, but otherwise it's like, wow, you know, that's just, it becomes too much, right? One other thing I'll show you here real quick as we get into how things might look. You can set these that slides will advance when you know, touch the arrow key on the keyboard or the space bar, you click on the mouse. I can also set this up so that these are going to move forward every so often. So if you're making a presentation where you're not necessarily up in front of people, but maybe it's on a TV screen or a monitor or something that's um, in a lobby or something like that, right? So you just want things to sit there and then change automatically after time, right? So I can set this up, right? That's going to take 2 seconds just to come in by itself, right? So 2 seconds, it'll not move. Interesting. Apparently I need to apply that to all. Let's try that again, right? So there's 2 seconds. All right, so this isn't functioning quite like I had hoped it to. Hope to have it, I should say. Okay, so let's try that again. So 1, 2 seconds, slides forward, 1, 2, slides forward, right? 1, 2, slides forward, right? So I applied that to all, right? So you can determine how that's going to happen, right? But you can, again, you can have it move forward how you would like it to. Just let's see. Well, we're going to call that good for now. Thanks.